Don't come at me with the possibility of doing a maths equation in a film where I can blow your science out of the water. Twisters, I'm looking directly at you. Yeah, Twisters. I sat down and I watched it last night. Did I like it? Didn't I like it? Did it blow me away? Did it sweep me away? That's what we're going to discover in my review now. So let's get into it. Get into it. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and welcome to my review for Twisters, this 2024 sequel come remake of the classic 1996 natural disaster movie Twister, directed by Jan de Bont. But this film here, running at 2 hours and 2 minutes, comes as directed by Lee Isaac Chung, who, to be honest, I don't think I've seen anything that he has directed before, and it stars Daisy Edgar-Jones, who primarily has been in TV roles, Glen Powell, he's done a fair bit, but he's more up and coming and prolific now than what he has ever been, and also stars Anthony Ramos, who I recognise from last year's Transformers Rise of the Beasts, because he blew me away with his performance in that film. So this film here, set present day, and it's pretty much the same setup. You've got storm chasers, and the story starts, and we're introduced to the character played by Daisy Edgar-Jones, and she's a storm chaser. She's trying to get funding for this scientific experiment where she's got these molecules and stuff that they put together, and if they send up into a twister, it'll basically burn it out, so to speak. It'll make it heavy, it'll make it drop, it'll kill it, thus saving lives. And this is what we're looking at doing. Only things go awry, like they normally do in films like this, and the majority of her team get killed. And this stops her chasing storms, chasing twisters. Only we jump forward 5 years, and Anthony Ramos, his character, goes to visit her, and he was one of her team that didn't die, the only other member, and he's had spent 5 years in the military, and he's managed to get hold of this technology, this kind of radar technology, that if they position, they can read the internal workings of a twister and figure out more about it and potentially go ahead and save lives. She gets convinced to join his team of people to chase twisters, and then we're introduced to another storm chaser, a storm wrangler, twister wrangler, played by Glen Powell, who is more of the cowboyish type, the Carrie Elwes type from the first film, bit cocky, bit brash, drive straight into twisters, this sort of a thing, and the story progresses like that. You know, there's not really much more to it than that. There's a bit of deviation in the character arcs and what there is to the first film or Twister itself. It doesn't follow that blow by blow. Characters have different courses and this sort of a thing. You have the coming together of Glen Powell and Daisy's character. Yeah. Is it nonsense, though? Is it nonsense? Okay, I sat down, I watched this film, and I had fun with it. It's not a bad film, you know. It looks great. You know, I can't deny that. Special effects have come on. The storms look fantastic. As scary as ever, especially if it's night time and you can't see the twister except for when the lightning's going and it lights it up and this sort of thing. So there's scenes like that look great, you know. But it's the same damn film. This is the problem. It's the same film. It's essentially a remake of that first movie from 1996. I guess they think enough time's passed that we'll do a remake, dress it up as a sequel. The only linkage between this film and that film is Dorothy, the piece of machinery from the first film that makes a little pop-up in this film. And that's about it. But it falls apart in its science. Not only that, in some of its writing, but we'll come on to that. Let's do the science part first. So they've got these militaristic radar things that they need 3 of them. They need to create a triangle, essentially, shape around 3 points around a twister where these radars can beam in. They can read the internal workings, and science-wise, we get to know a lot more about how twisters form and this sort of a thing. Thus working towards trying to prevent them for a preventative measure, and that's what the film's about, trying to find a preventative measure to help save lives and buildings, and all this sort of thing. But what they go ahead and state in the film is that you need to be within 300 meters. They need to drop this thing within 300 meters of a twister. So that's all 3 of them. Yeah, it doesn't state that. Just Anthony Ramos's character states it when they're trying to drop their one. We need to be in 300 meters of it to get a reading. So that goes for each one. Okay, so you're going to drop. They drop 2 of them. They pull them out of the cars at 2 different points, drop them. The other person's got to drive around in front to drop it. Only this thing's moving. This thing's moving at 17 miles per hour. Okay, the speed can deviate up and down, but let's work at the basis of 17 miles an hour. 300 meters they need to be. Okay, well, traveling at 17 miles an hour, this thing's going to travel 27,360 meters in an hour. Okay, that's 456 meters in a minute. Okay, and then you whittle that down again, and we come down to 304 meters. It takes 40 seconds for this thing to cover 304 meters. How the hell are you going to position these things in that time? You're not. It blows the logic of these machines out of the water. It doesn't work. It doesn't work in the context of the story of the film. It wouldn't work in reality. It's complete and utter nonsense. You give me a maths equation, I'm going to sit there because I'm pretty bored watching a film. Well, that was quite a fun film, but you give me that and I'm going to work it all out in my head. I'm going to work it out and see whether that actually works. No, so story-wise, it'd been far more effective if these radars were in motion on the back of vehicles, that they had to travel at a speed where they could keep up with the tornado, where they could then get the readings. They had to stay in certain proximity to it, etc. And the car in front is there in front leading the way. Obviously a tornado can go any direction, but there we go. So it blows it out of the water straight away. So I'm like, okay, nonsense, complete and utter nonsense. Not only that, you've got characters, the writing for some of the characters in this film is ludicrous. I mean, you've got Glen Powell, you've got his vehicle, his off-roader, his big muscle car truck thing, right? And he drives into these tornadoes. Okay, these tornadoes will pick up anything. They'll pick up anything, buildings and that. But he'll drive into them with his car because his car's got these drill bits that go down into the ground and hold it steady. All right, okay, I'm going to believe that, aren't I? I'm going to believe that's going to happen. What if the ground is sodden with moisture? What if it's not very solid ground, okay? You're going to get taken up anyway. Nonsense, complete nonsense yet again. But no. Let's talk about flares. So there's a bit where they're chasing this tornado, and he's got these things on the side of his car that can fire up rockets and flares and all this nonsense. And he's going, oh, let's load the flares. So the other geezer in the car, coolly looking, gets out the window. He's out the window, leaning out the window, dropping the flares into this thing. Hold on a minute. Wouldn't logic dictate that you have this loaded prior to going because it looks cool, but yet later on in the film they load it prior to going? Stupid nonsense that I had fun with nonetheless. Like I said, the film looks good. It does look good, and I had fun with the film. Ultimately, it just annoyed me at certain elements like this. I will say, acting-wise, obviously Glen Powell, he kind of steals the show. Daisy Edgar-Jones, she looks like a child all the way through the film. I don't know if that's my age. That's my age now. I'm getting older and I'm looking at people in films and I'm thinking, you look like children. You look like you're not even old enough to be doing this sort of thing. You shouldn't have been out of school, let alone out of puberty yet. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of scenario. But that's my problem. That's me getting older, viewing films at an old age. I think I'm turning into my dad. But there we go. So, ultimately, It's a completely flawed film that looks good, that is fun enough to take a journey with. Will I watch it? I probably would watch it again. Like I said, it was fun. It was enjoyable nonsense that scientifically just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And yeah, it's a remake. It's not, I was going to say, it's not a sequel. It's a damn remake to that first movie. Nothing more, nothing less.